Hey, today I just wanted to talk about three ways that INFPs are often misunderstood, at least in my experience. And those three ways are: the first is the depth of how much we love and feel for people in general. The second is our seemingly sudden bursts of joy can seem fake. And thirdly, sometimes people just think we're mentally ill or moody. So to get into the first of those three, the depth of how much we love and feel for people. I've only recently, I'm in my 30s, and only recently started to realize that a lot of INFPs and ENFPs, and ENFJs and INFJs, we feel like a lot more, maybe you could say, for people, even strangers, than the average person does. And I guess it's because of the way we process the world, INFPs especially. Because as an INFP, I can say that the way that I understand reality, as I move through reality, the way that I perceive it is through emotion. So it all depends on the emotions of the people around me, how I pick up on the way they feel, like by observing them, and trying to empathize with them. It's just an automatic thing. That comes back to me and kind of helps me to get a grasp on what's happening. I don't know if that made any sense, but basically the way we navigate life is through our emotions. So that means trying really hard to understand the feelings of the people around us and empathizing with them. So because we empathize with other people so much and so often, which is why we often get drained in social situations really quickly, because we're so busy trying to pick up, and this is not intentional, this is just the way our brains are wired. We're so busy trying to pick up on their emotions and figure out what they're thinking and then try to help them or whatever. It's so much to do all the time when you're around people that after a while you're just like, I need to be by myself. It's kind of like Professor X from X-Men. Sometimes it was just too much for him. I think, if I remember correctly, in the movies and the animated series, it would be too much for him to hear everyone's thoughts, and he just needs to get away for a little bit. But anyway, that's kind of how it is with INFPs. And so going back to the point, because we're so busy doing that all the time and it's just intentional, it's also natural for us to feel things, to feel deep feelings for the people around us, even if we don't know them very well, because we're using our huge imaginations to pretend to be them, to try and understand what they're going through. We have these deep feelings for them. And for me, sometimes when I come across someone who I don't understand, I'm like, oh, I don't understand this person. I don't know that I can relate to them. And it interests me even more. So I actually will go up and start talking to them, which is kind of rare for INFPs, because I want to know what's going on. How are you a human and I don't understand you? So I'll start talking to them and get really fascinated by them. And in those situations, a lot of times they'll think that I'm doing this because I have a romantic interest in them. And it's not. It's just that I'm truly fascinated by them. And I think that happens to a lot of other INFPs too. And ENFPs also, because they're fascinated by everyone. People will get the wrong intention, or they'll assume that your interest in them is because you like them, you think they're hot or something, and maybe they are hot, but that's not why usually I'm going up to people. It's usually because I don't understand them and I want to, or I think I understand them very well and it looks like they need something that maybe I could help them with. I hope that doesn't sound like arrogant or something, but like, I don't know, we really love people. And I think that it can be difficult for other personality types to understand the depth of that. Like, I can't even really put into words how deeply we feel for people. It's just, and it seems kind of weird in a world where you're taught to put yourself first and to say, well, that's not my problem. If you see someone who's like in a bad spot or something, for INFPs, it's really weird. It makes us even weirder than we already are to live in a world like that, that's like encouraging coldness and independence when we're kind of the opposite. While we do treasure and value independence, we also really love people, but it kind of, because of the world we live in, I know it kind of makes me afraid to reach out because I don't want to seem too weird. Yeah. Like, I'll give you an example. There was, I had this coworker who was going through a really rough time, and it broke my heart. Like, and I know other people felt for her too. Everyone felt for her. But it just was hard. Like, she was going through a breakup, and I don't know. It just really broke my heart, and I couldn't stop thinking about what she was going through. So I was like, I have to help her, but I don't know how. It's not like I have a lot of money or anything, and I'm not a good counselor. I don't know what I'm talking about if she asked me for advice. So like, what I did is I would like randomly, just out of the blue, like buy her favorite candy and like cookies and stuff. And this was during the pandemic, like the bad part of the pandemic, when everyone was self-distancing, whatever you call that, social distancing. So we were all like mostly working from home. But anyway, I would like drive to her place and like put a gift bag outside of her door, and then just text her and say, hey, I was just thinking of you and I dropped this off. And I kept doing that. Like, I told myself I'll keep doing this until it looks like she starts to feel better. So just randomly, like whenever I had the money to do so, I would do that. And then she was really appreciative, but then one day she was like, why are you doing this? And it made me think, oh no, this is probably not normal. Like, this is not what normal people do. This is a very INFP thing, or INFJ. So then I kind of like backed off because I really, really cared about her. But then I realized this is not the normal thing to do. You're supposed to just say, I hope things get better, and then like keep walking. Otherwise, it can kind of weird people out, I think. So I don't know. It kind of makes you, I know it makes me feel bad when I'm trying to reach out to people, and it's just, considering our culture and society, it's over the top, or it can be misconstrued as a romantic gesture. Another way that we're misunderstood, the second one, was our seemingly sudden burst of joy can seem fake. Because we are so aware of how odd we are, and we're a little bit afraid of being bullied, we're usually quiet in like in the workplace or at school or other social settings. But when something happens and that mask, the INFP mask of quietness, is removed, then you see what we really are, and it comes out. Like at work, for example, I used to work in like television news, and so sometimes they would have like these little spots where they would interview directors or something, and we would produce those spots. So like we would get them on TV. So like in the control room, if this makes any sense, in the control room, when one of those spots that featured like Steven Spielberg or I don't know, some other great director. I like J.J. Abrams too. When one of them was being interviewed, my INFP mask would come off, and I'd just be like, "Oh my God, they're so amazing!" Blah blah, and just start talking about all their movies and what I love about them and how I wish I could direct like them. And then like one time I was in the middle of one of those like just weird rants, and I saw one of my coworkers like looking at another one and kind of giggling, and I realized, oh no, I'm being weird. So I just like shut up. I don't know. I think people can think that we're being a little bit fake at times like that. Like I even was told once by someone who was a friend. We traveled to out of state to California together, and I felt pretty comfortable with her, comfortable enough that I didn't feel like I needed to be quiet, so I was just myself, and I started talking and like loosening up and everything. And then she turned to me and she's like, "You're trying to act young," because she's younger than me. She's like, "You're trying to act young, you're being fake." And I was just like, I didn't even know what to say to that. I don't think I even said anything because I was just like shocked, and my feelings were hurt. But I do think like after those experiences at work and then with other people, who don't know me that well, when I do start to loosen up, and I'm sure this may be the case with other INFPs, and they see you take that mask off, they almost don't believe it because you're so the opposite of what the mask is. Like, we're trained from the time we're young, maybe because we came from a strict family, or maybe just from observation, that it's better if we just keep to ourselves and hide the way we really are. But then when we start to feel comfortable, and the real us comes out, which is this huge just ball of emotion, and we're usually like, I think INFPs are pretty funny, like full of like sarcastic humor and just an overabundance of love. It's just so much. It's basically we are ENFPs, and if you've ever been around an ENFP, they are wow, like they're so just energetic. So on the inside, that's how we are, but we hide it behind walls of insecurity and quiet. So when that mask comes off, it can be a shock, so shocking that it looks like we're just being fake. Or, and this moves into the third point, or people just think we're mentally ill. I think I've mentioned this before on YouTube, in other YouTube videos, but I had this supposed friend who was not a friend, unfortunately. I found out later, who one day took me aside and was like, "I think you have bipolar disorder, Paula." And I was kind of like, "I don't think so, but why do you say that?" And then she said, "Because you like write all the time." And that was basically it. And yeah. I do understand though, after, having that friend tell me that, and then having another friend tell me, "You're really moody," and thinking about it, I think what's happening there is that because INFPs need outlets, first of all, because of all the feelings the things that we don't say, because we have that mask of quietness, and what we think probably is social grace, but may not actually look like social grace, but just looks like a shy person. We have that mask and those thick walls up. But all of the other things that are going on behind the scenes, in our hearts and in our heads, we need an outlet for that. So with some INFPs, it's painting. With others, it's music. With others, it's writing, like me. Or others have like a combination of so many art forms that they use to like, just get all their inner emotions out. So for me, it's writing, like I mentioned. And it's true. Like when I'm writing a book, I will spend hours at a time every day, like maybe at least 2 hours a day, seriously focused on writing that book. Like I'll turn on my music and write 2 or 3 chapters. And I don't take phone calls unless it's like an emergency or something. I don't answer the door unless it's an emergency. I'm just writing because I have to do that. And other writers who aren't INFPs, they actually do the same thing. That's how writers get books published. You have to set aside time every day to do that. But yeah, with INFPs, though, to be specific, whatever our chosen art form is, we really focus on it because it's refreshing to us and it recharges our batteries after putting on that mask all day long. It kind of reminds me of people who have autism spectrum disorder, I believe. I've read and watched videos about how especially girls and women will mask if they are on the autistic spectrum, and I apologize if I'm saying this incorrectly. Like they'll mask to hide their traits that are related to autism because they want to fit in. And INFPs, I think that we do the same thing. Because we know we feel so much and we feel so strongly that we want to try and fit in, even though we know we're not really going to, or at least not scare people away or be criticized. That's really what it is, I think. It comes down to not wanting to be criticized. We put on a mask also, just like people who have autism spectrum disorder may do. Yeah, and it can also come across as being moody to some people, like in those moments where the mask comes off. We may not say much, but we might, on our face, you might see us react, or people might see us react to different things. Like, I remember I was riding in the car with my mom and we passed by a woman who, like, I think she had a sign. Yeah, she had a sign for food. It was like holding up a sign. And she looked homeless. And that really, it kind of like ripped my heart out. And I couldn't stop thinking about her. But while I was talking to my mom about it, because we were in the car together and she saw her too, my mom kept trying to move forward, like say, okay, well, we're gonna go to the store and blah blah blah. And I was like, but the lady back there, but the woman, she doesn't have any blah. And I just went on and on. And we've been having like a nice little trip together, whatever it was we were doing. But then when I saw that woman, that made an impression, because of the empathy and all that stuff. And my mom is definitely not an INFP. She's not. So it was hard for her to understand why I was so focused on a sad thing when we were going to do something nice. Like I think we were going shopping or something. But I wouldn't call that moody. And maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think INFPs are moody, generally speaking. I think that we just feel so many things for the people around us and for ourselves too, that we feel a multitude of things all at the same time. Like, for example, on that car ride with my mom, I was still excited about going to the store with her, and I did still love being with her. That did not change. But I had an added feeling, which was we need to go back and help that woman. We need to at least give her some food. We can't just pass another human being and we have the means to help her and we're not going to. That's ridiculous. So it wasn't that the other feelings went away. It's just that another feeling joined them. And that other feeling showed on my face. So I don't know if this is making any sense. I really feel like I'm just rambling today. I'm so sorry. I am just rambling a lot today. But I do think the three ways out of many ways that INFPs are misunderstood is, first of all, the depth of feelings and the depth of love that we have for other people, even complete strangers. I don't think that's quite understood by people in general. The second thing is people may feel that when we seemingly suddenly like start talking about the things we love or suddenly get excited, they might think it's fake because they don't usually see us like that. Or thirdly, they might think we're mentally ill or that our moods shift up and down when really they're not shifting. It's just that we feel lots of things all at the same time, because how do we navigate life? Through our feelings. So I don't know, I feel like I did not explain this well. If you're an INFP or another personality type and you feel like you've been misunderstood in other ways that are related to your personality type, please leave these experiences and observations in the comment section below. I would love to learn more. And INFP men, if you have a different experience, like from the male perspective, please feel free to talk about that too. Because last week someone left me a really interesting comment about that. And it was something I'd never thought of because I'm not a guy. So it's just interesting to see how the things that INFP men have to deal with too. All right, thanks for watching this long-winded video. Bye.